What if I told you there's something so simple, so common, that you could take just one spoon before bed, and by morning, your blood flow could be nourishing your manhood in a way you haven't felt in years? I'm not talking about a drug, a risky procedure, or some overhyped supplement. I'm talking about a quiet little natural remedy that's been hiding in plain sight your entire life. A remedy that, when used the right way, has helped thousands of men over 55 reclaim their strength, their confidence, and that deep, quiet feeling of being fully alive as a man again. I've seen men walk into my office with slumped shoulders, avoiding eye contact, convinced that the fire was gone for good. And I've seen those same men return weeks later, standing tall, smiling, even blushing a little when they tell me, "Doc, something's changed." That's not magic. That's biology reawakened with the right kind of care. My name is Dr. Edward. I've been a men's health specialist and urologist here in Greenville, South Carolina, for over 35 years. I've treated thousands of men for issues most are too embarrassed to talk about: weaker erections, low energy, a fading spark in the bedroom, the frustration of knowing your mind still wants it, but your body just isn't responding. And I can tell you this: in most cases, the problem isn't age. It's not that you've lost your manhood. It's that your blood flow, your circulation, the very lifeline of your sexual health, has been quietly slowing down for years. But here's the good news: you can fix it naturally, safely, without side effects. And you can start tonight. In just a few minutes, I'm going to tell you exactly what this one spoon before bed remedy is, how it works, and why it's been a game changer for so many men your age. But before we get there, I want you to understand why this works, because once you do, you'll realize it's not some gimmick. It's rooted in how your body is built, how it heals, and how it responds when you give it the right conditions. Now, I'll warn you, I'm not going to dump all the facts on you at once. That's not how we learn, and it's not how we build results that last. I'm going to walk you through it piece by piece, like unwrapping a gift slowly. Every part we cover will build on the last, and by the end, you'll see the whole picture and exactly how you can apply it in your own life starting tonight. So here's what I want you to do right now. Go ahead and subscribe to this channel and click the little bell icon. That way, you won't miss the rest of what we're going to uncover together. And I want you to write in the comments which city you're watching from. I read every single one. It's my way of staying connected with you, because this isn't just a broadcast. This is a conversation between me and you. Now, let's begin with the truth most men over 55 never hear. When most men think about why their performance has faded, they point the finger at testosterone. Or they say, "Doc, I guess I'm just getting old." And while hormones and birthdays certainly play a role, they're not the real culprit. The real reason so many men over 55 lose their firmness, their sensitivity, and even their desire is because the blood highways that used to deliver life to your manhood have slowly turned into clogged back roads. I want you to imagine your circulatory system like the plumbing in your home. When you were younger, those pipes were wide open, water flowing freely. But over time, because of stress, diet, inactivity, even low-grade inflammation you never felt, the inside of those pipes started to narrow. Not all at once, slowly, quietly, until one day, you wake up and realize the pressure's just not there anymore. And here's the thing: we're not just talking about the big highways like your heart arteries. The vessels that supply your penis are tiny, about the width of a human hair. That means they're the first to feel the effects of narrowing and congestion. Your brain can still send the signal. Your desire can still flicker. But if that blood can't rush in with speed and pressure, you'll be left with half the strength you used to have. But it doesn't stop with circulation. There's another villain in the story: inflammation. I call it the quiet thief. You won't feel like a sprained ankle or a pulled muscle. It works in the background, tightening blood vessels, irritating the sensitive tissues in your pelvic region, and even pressing on the nerves that carry sensation from your manhood back to your brain. Many of my patients also deal with what I call pelvic congestion. That's when the lower part of your body, your groin, inner thighs, and lower abdomen, starts trapping waste fluid, toxins, and metabolic debris simply because blood and lymph aren't moving like they should. You sit more. You walk less. Maybe your back isn't what it used to be, so you avoid certain activities. All of that leads to a kind of traffic jam in your pelvis. And when there's a jam, oxygen can't get where it needs to go. Nutrients can't feed the tissues. And your body starts sending fewer and fewer resources to the very area that defines so much of your confidence as a man. It's no wonder so many men in their 60s and 70s start feeling not just weaker erections, but also a dullness, a lack of sensation, almost like the lights are dimmed. Some even describe it as feeling numb down there. That's not in your head. That's your body slowly disconnecting from itself because the blood supply, the nerve signals, and the tissue health are all being compromised at the same time. But here's where it gets interesting. This isn't permanent. Blood vessels can reopen. Inflammation can cool down. Nerves can wake up. I've seen it happen in men who thought they were too far gone. And the one spoon before bed method we're working toward isn't just about better circulation while you sleep. It's about feeding your body what it needs so that, night after night, you're reversing years of quiet damage. We'll get to the exact remedy soon. But first, I want you to hear about a patient of mine named Raymond. He came to me at 68 years old, saying, "Doc, I feel like I've just disappeared down there." He wasn't just talking about sex. He was talking about his sense of self. We dug deeper. His blood pressure is fine. His cholesterol wasn't terrible. But when we looked at his vascular health, his pelvic tissues, and his prostate, it was clear years of subtle congestion and inflammation had been quietly turning the volume down on his manhood. The good news? Within weeks of starting a targeted routine, something you could do at home with no prescription, no embarrassment, his morning strength returned. His energy lifted, and that light in his eyes, it came back. And that brings us to the next step in our journey. Because while understanding the problem is the first victory, knowing how to turn the tide is what actually changes your life. And the first step in that reversal starts with an ingredient you've walked past in your kitchen 1,000 times without realizing the power it holds. But that was only the beginning. I'll never forget the day Walter walked into my office. 74 years old, retired from a lifetime of hard work, and carrying himself with that quiet dignity you see in men who've been through life storms. But his eyes told another story. Tired, frustrated, almost resigned. "Doc," he said, "it's been years. I've tried the pills. I've tried the gadgets. Nothing works the way it should. I think I'm past the point of no return." Now, I've heard that sentence more times than I can count. And every time, I lean in and tell a man in front of me the same thing. You're not broken. You're blocked. Blood is either getting to your manhood freely or it's not. And if it's not, we fix the blockage. For Walter, the first step was introducing him to something so simple. Most men underestimate it: castor oil. You might know it as that thick, golden liquid your grandmother used for just about everything. But when you look at it through the lens of men's health, especially circulation and tissue repair, you realize it's a powerhouse. Here's why. Castor oil penetrates deeper than almost any other natural oil. While most oils just sit on the skin, castor oil travels into the underlying tissue, carrying with it ricinoleic acid, a compound that naturally stimulates blood flow, calms inflammation, and even encourages the lymphatic system to flush out waste fluid. For a man like Walter, that's critical. His groin and lower abdomen had been congested for years, not with something you can see on the outside, but with sluggish circulation on the inside. And when blood moves slowly, tissues starve for oxygen, nerves lose sensitivity, and performance fades. We started small. 3 nights a week, he applied a warm castor oil pack over his lower abdomen and groin before bed. Nothing aggressive, nothing complicated, just gentle, consistent application. The warmth helped dilate his tiny pelvic blood vessels, and the oil seeped deep into the tissue, nudging that sluggish circulation back to life. By the end of the first week, he noticed something he hadn't felt in years: warmth. A subtle, tingling awareness in a part of his body he thought was gone forever. This wasn't the sudden switch you hear about with certain pills. This was a gradual waking up, like a garden coming back to life after a long winter. And here's where the snowball effect began. That warmth was more than a feeling. It was oxygen-rich blood finding its way back into forgotten territory. That blood brought nutrients. Those nutrients fed the tissues. Those tissues began to regain flexibility. And the nerves, long dormant, started to wake up and reestablish their connection to his brain. Within 3 weeks, Walter was waking up with morning strength again. Not every day at first, but enough to remind him that his body was still capable. His confidence returned. His energy during the day improved. His wife even pulled me aside during a follow-up visit and whispered, "Whatever you told him to do, it's working." And here's the part most men miss. Castor oil doesn't force anything. It doesn't override your body like a drug. It simply creates the perfect environment for your natural function to return. It reduces the inflammation that's been squeezing your vessels. It encourages the movement of fluid that's been sitting stagnant. And it supports healing at the deepest level. But that was only the beginning. Because once Walter's blood was flowing more freely, we could amplify those gains with one more step, something that not only improved his circulation, but actually changed the chemistry of his tissues so they could stay healthy long term. That's when I introduced the second method. And this is where the transformation really took off. When Walter's blood flow started improving, I knew we had laid the foundation. But circulation alone isn't enough if the tissues it feeds are acidic, inflamed, and too stiff to respond. That's why the second step, the one that made his results skyrocket, was introducing baking soda into the mix. Now, I know what you're thinking. Baking soda? The stuff in my fridge. Yes, that same humble white powder most men only think about when their sink smells off or they're baking biscuits. But inside an aging male body, baking soda can be a quiet, powerful healer. Let me tell you about another patient, Ronald, 68 years old, meticulous about his diet, exercised regularly, never smoked. On paper, he was the picture of health. But he still had weak erections, a constant heavy feeling in his groin, and that frustrating lack of response when intimacy was on the table. We tested everything: hormones, blood sugar, vascular health, and it was all fine. But fine wasn't good enough for him. That's when I asked him something most doctors never think to. Have you ever used baking soda for your circulation? His eyebrows shot up. Here's why I asked. As we age, the tissues in the pelvis, especially those with limited blood flow, tend to become more acidic. This acidic environment quietly stiffens soft tissue, narrows blood vessels, and keeps inflammation simmering. It's like trying to water a lawn through a hose that's half frozen. Even if you turn up the pressure, the flow just won't be right. Baking soda, when used correctly, helps neutralize that acidity. It changes the pH of the tissue environment, creating a place where blood vessels can relax and nitric oxide, the molecule that triggers erections, can do its job. It's not just about alkalinity. It's about dismantling the hidden roadblocks to healthy circulation. For Ronald, I suggested a very specific approach, combining baking soda with warm castor oil in a topical application before bed. Just 1 spoon of baking soda mixed into the oil, applied gently over the lower abdomen and groin, and left to absorb while he slept. The castor oil carried its healing compounds deep into the tissues, while the baking soda worked to break down acid buildup and soften the microscopic stiffness in his blood vessels. The results? In just 7 nights, Ronald noticed the heaviness in his groin lifting. Within 2 weeks, his nighttime trips to the bathroom dropped from 3 to 1, a sign that his pelvic inflammation was easing and his prostate pressure was decreasing. And by the end of the month, he was getting spontaneous erections again, sometimes just from holding his wife's hand on the couch. This is the beauty of pairing these two simple ingredients. The oil restores movement, the powder restores balance. Together, they create an environment where your body can actually heal itself instead of constantly fighting uphill. And because it's topical, it bypasses your digestive system. No strain on your kidneys, no messing with your stomach acid, no risk of interacting with your medications. By the time Walter added this second step, he told me it felt like his body had switched from black and white back to color. His mornings were brighter, his energy more stable, and his confidence, well, let's just say his wife kept finding reasons to accidentally brush past him in the kitchen. But of course, a method only works if you use it the right way. And while these two ingredients are safe, there are specific steps, timing, and precautions that make all the difference. That's exactly what we'll cover next, along with 2 real-life success stories, the science that backs it up, and the most common mistakes men make so you can avoid them. Because the difference between some results and life-changing results comes down to the details. If you're ready to try this for yourself, here's exactly how to do it. Each night before bed, mix 1 spoon of baking soda into 2 spoons of warm castor oil. Stir until smooth, then gently massage it into the lower abdomen, inner thighs, and groin for 2 to 3 minutes. You're not scrubbing, you're inviting blood flow. Once applied, cover the area with a soft cotton cloth to hold in warmth, and let it absorb overnight. Walter did this 3 nights a week at first, then nightly once he saw results. Within 10 days, his morning strength was returning. Ronald followed the same method and in under 2 weeks noticed his bathroom trips at night had nearly stopped. His energy was steadier, and his wife told him, "You feel different in a good way." The science backs up what they felt. Castor oil penetrates deep to stimulate blood flow and lymphatic drainage. Baking soda neutralizes acidic tissue pH, softens stiffened vessels, and preserves nitric oxide function, the spark that triggers an erection. Together, they don't force your body, they remind it how to work. But even simple methods can be misused. Some men apply too much baking soda, which can irritate the skin. Stick to 1 spoon. Others skip the warmth, which limits penetration. And the most common mistake? Quitting too soon. The first signs are subtle, a little warmth, a lighter feeling. But those are your body's green lights to keep going. I've seen this routine change not just men's performance, but their entire sense of self. Because when you wake up with strength again, you carry that confidence into every part of your life. If you want more methods like this, like the video, subscribe and comment 1 so I know you're interested. I read every comment, and I want to hear your story next.